Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Finn and Joe's British Show. We're back. We had a short break, but we are back and just in time for Easter. But first, Joe, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. I'm happy to be back. I feel like I've recharged my batteries and I am ready for this new series. So this is what it is, guys. We're into almost series two, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. I always look forward to these podcast episodes because when I look at my calendar for the day and it's like class, 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 the podcast takes up a slot like a class, but it's not. It's completely different. So yeah, it's fun to get to this time slot in the day and like, oh, something different.
Mm. And I think today we're talking about the culture of Easter here in the UK. And guys, you are going to be in for a treat, quite literally, because I've come prepared with props today. So let's kick off and talk about probably the main thing that happens on Easter Sunday. So this will be this coming Sunday, which will also correspond with the date that we upload the podcast this week. So everything is going to work out perfect. This thing. So this, as you're probably well aware, is called an Easter egg. So the eggs here in the UK, they're normally in this kind of packaging. They're normally a hollow egg. We normally don't put anything inside them. And normally, depending on if it's like a chocolate company or a sweet company, there'll be some like extra bags of sweets or chocolate that goes with it. However, Finn, you'll be able to point this out. What on earth has happened to these Easter eggs? I am really, really miffed right now.
Oh, sorry, I was just changing the speaker view. I think we were side by side and I didn't realize. Well, Joe, I like how you're holding it next to your head because the topic is all about the size, so we can compare it to your head. And yeah, over the years, they seem to have shrunk. And at first, I thought that that was just because I was getting bigger, but it turns out that is not the case.
No. And I'm absolutely mortified. I'm sat here reading the front and looking at the contents of what's actually inside this box. And looking at the box, you think, oh, yeah, it's kind of bulky. But I look at it, one large egg and one cream egg. When I was younger, they used to put two in. I feel cheated. I feel cheated because, guys, what they're actually doing, and you might notice this with a lot of different products, they're actually reducing the size of products like food, things, chocolate, that kind of thing, but making the packaging look bigger and also making it more expensive. So this is a process that I actually taught in one of my own classes called shrinkflation, and it's happening all the time, and it kind of winds me up, if I'm honest, that I have to pay more for less. What do you reckon, Finn?
Yeah, it's definitely very frustrating. I remember when I was younger that one box would last a few days because you would have the main egg and then you would always have lots of extras as well. So the brand of the egg would always put in their brand's chocolate bars as well, and it would be a full-size chocolate bar. So you'd have multiple of them and maybe some like smaller egg as well, depending on the company. And then you'd have like big ones, and then you'd have medium ones, and then smaller ones, and then now the big ones just don't exist. And it's all very expensive. I remember when I was younger having like a lot a lot of different eggs and boxes and stuff, and then now if I think about that and think about buying that today, that would be ridiculous. That would be ridiculously priced. We would never buy that many of that size anymore.
Mm. And I think my next prop is probably my favorite thing that I eat over Easter. And to be fair, I've already eaten around 15 of these in the space of 2 weeks, and it's this thing. So, Finn, you're very eagle-eyed. What on earth am I holding in my hand?
That is a cream egg, and I love the cream eggs. So, unlike the bigger Easter eggs, they are not hollow. Inside, they are full of cream, I guess. But not your traditional cream, not your normal cream. I'm pretty terrible at describing foods and textures and flavors. So, Joe, maybe you're better at describing it. But inside, it's very gooey, is a
Mm.
great word for it. So, it's some sort of yellow goo that is very delicious. I haven't made that sound very, very nice at all. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's full of this nice goo.
Yeah, I think they try and market it as fondant. If I'm honest, it's like a white fondant. Well, obviously it's a chocolate egg, milk chocolate egg, and inside it's filled with a white sweet fondant, and then like a yellow fondant to obviously emulate a yolk. And there's some really weird things that some Brits do with these. So I'm a bit strange, Finn, as you're probably aware, having worked with me for some time. I like to bite the top off this and then get my finger and like literally scoop out the middle. I'm very weird, but mind you. Some Brits do some even weirder things. So I came across someone who used to take the top off and then go to the chippy, to the fish and chip shop, and get
Oh
chips
no.
and dip them in
Oh no.
into one
Oh
of
no.
these.
That's
But
disgusting.
each to their own, I guess.
Yeah, each to their own. Yeah, I think it's always a bit of a personal tactic to how you eat it. And I guess for some people it changes, your tactic changes depending on whether or not you are in public or if you are at home on your own. I know some people like to bite the top off and then try and suck out the goo from the inside, which I think if you're in a public space, if you're on the tube, for example, I think that would be a little bit weird. I don't know what my go-to tactic is. To be honest, it's probably that when I'm at home on my own, bite off the top, get out what I can, and then bite a little bit further down and round and keep going. I guess another t tactic is to because you can see that it's like two halves put together like this. So there is a line going all the way around, so you can kind of break them apart. Not very easily, not very well, but you can bite one half off. And I think that's what I try and do. I try to break one half away as cleanly as possible. So with as little goo as possible. So it's just pure chocolate. And then use my tongue to get the goo out of the other side and then eat the rest of the chocolate. I
That's
don't
that's
know how I feel about doing that in public though.
That's a very vivid description, if I'm honest. I don't know if I could cope if I saw you eating a Cadbury's cream egg. I think I might have to leave.
I'm sorry, you holding it up, it made me hungry, so I got very
Um,
yeah, very descriptive.
yeah, the only problem with these guys is they're ridiculously sweet, and we've got an adjective that we use a lot here in the UK, and it's sickly sweet. It is. It makes you feel sick. So you generally don't eat a lot of these, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's very sickly or very filling. I guess filling is a bit more general. Like you can just eat a lot or no, you can't eat very much of a filling food because it makes you feel full, but not necessarily sick. whereas a cream egg is filling and sickly. So yeah, you have one, and one is always enough.
What about these things?
Same, same, but different. Yeah, so mini eggs, as you can see. So in that packet, there are, oh, I don't know, there are quite a lot, and they're probably about that big, would you say? Maybe
Hmm.
that big. And they're a bit more solid. So I think, yeah, you can see on oh, you're holding them up, but I think the audience can only see me. Let me change it. There we go. That might make a bit more sense now. Um, so they're not hollow, but it's not a liquid, it's not goo inside, it's a bit more of solid chocolate. And the outside is a colored shell.
Hmm. So those are really nice, but the problem with mini eggs, I find that I can eat loads of them without even realizing that a Cadbury's cream egg, I could have one and I'm done. But with these, I could eat the whole bag because they just make me want to eat more and more and more. And what adjective do Brits use when we want to eat more and more and more of something thin?
More-ish. They're very Moorish.
They are very Moorish, very Moorish. But enough of food because it's making me really hungry. So, another feature that is really popular here in the UK is to go on an Easter egg hunt. So, local attractions do these, families might do these in their own homes, in their own gardens, really, if they've got a garden, or in their home if they don't. And this is where they hide chocolate eggs. They might hide plastic eggs with nothing in it around a location. So children are given maps to try and locate where these eggs are. And what normally happens is they will collect these clues or collect these plastic eggs or these little chocolate eggs, take it to someone, maybe a parent or an organizer at an event like a park, and they will come back and give them like a small Easter egg or a chocolate bar or something as a gift. So I've actually got an invitation here to an Easter egg hunt, which is happening for a charity event close to me. Uh, I'm a bit old to go on an Easter egg hunt, but I might show my face.
Yeah, no, they are definitely a fun feature of childhood here in the UK. Yeah, running around, exploring, like you say, in a park or somewhere kind of natural, and you're jumping up onto trees and looking in bushes, and sometimes they might like hide one partially under the ground, so you have to dig it up a little bit. Yeah, unfortunately for adults running around with children trying to find eggs is a bit inappropriate, but it's definitely a core memory, a great memory. And I need to find an egg hunt that's like an adults only egg hunt. I can imagine there being like a more aggressive version of the game, which would be quite fun.
Maybe something like a adult themed Easter egg like geocache or something like that would probably be a bit more suitable.
Yeah, something like that would be good, wouldn't it?
Hmm. Yeah, so probably because we are English teachers, it probably makes more sense to teach you some expressions that we can use, all to do with Easter. So the first expression, which is really common, and it's one of my favorites, if I'm honest, is someone is not a happy bunny. So if someone is not a happy bunny, it means they are very miserable. They might be very grumpy. They might be throwing a tantrum. Um, so parents, mothers typically use this about their babies and children. So if their babies are crying like ah, and causing a bit of a scene, their mums might say something like, "Oh, he's not a very happy bunny today."
Yeah, and I think because it kind of originated from that calling children and babies not a happy bunny, almost makes it a better insult for adults when you do use it, or using it for someone or in a situation that is very serious. So, like your boss or something, not to them. I don't think it would be appropriate to ever say to your boss that he's not a happy bunny because that might result in you getting fired. But you might whisper to your colleague, you might say, "Oh, he's not a happy bunny today, is he?" But I agree, that's one of my favorites as well.
Mm. And another of my favorite ones that I use quite frequently when I can is again used in the negative, and it's someone is no spring chicken. So this is used to basically say that someone is old. So, as you're probably aware from our previous episodes, all to do with like indirectness and politeness in British culture, it's kind of rude to go up to someone and say they're old or describe them as old. So, we often use these indirect expressions which add a bit more of a nicer feel than saying someone is old. So, you could say, he's no spring chicken. She's no spring chicken. It just means they're old, but kind of experience. They have a lot of life experience as well because they're old.
Yeah, it's kind of a nicer way, or almost like a sarcastic way of saying it, isn't it? Which is, yeah, instead of saying, "Oh, how was it meeting this person? What did you think of them?" Instead of saying, "Yeah, she's nice, but she's old. She's nice, but she's no spring chicken." Just a softer, nicer way of saying it, isn't it?
Hmm. And Finn, before we started today, you mentioned an activity that lots of people do around spring, around Easter, around their houses. What do they do?
A spring clean. So you can do a spring clean. Or I've been busy spring cleaning.
So what does that actually mean? How is it different from literally me just running around with a vacuum and and hoovering?
Yeah, so it's more of a specific one in the way that it is a big one. It is the mother of all cleans. So normally you might clean all of the surfaces that are visible, maybe wipe behind the TV a little bit. But a spring clean is you go all out. You do everything you can to make it as clean as possible. You might be removing stuff, you might be moving wardrobes and things like that, might be cleaning everywhere that you don't normally clean in your, I guess, routine weekly clean.
Hmm. And another spring idiom that we use is to have a spring in your step. So it usually means to have a bit of a bounce, a bit of because the person is happy because of something that's happened to them. So, for instance, if I took on more students, I might have a spring in my step because I feel, yes, I feel happy. I've got more students. What causes you to have a spring in your step, Finn?
Easter eggs, cream eggs, to be specific. They definitely, yeah, make me have a spring in my step. I guess it's kind of the opposite of a spring, like saying that someone is no spring chicken, but having a spring in your step is a bit more temporary. It's not like a permanent state to describe someone. But yeah, if you see an old person, you could say that they're no spring chicken, but on this particular day, he got his cream eggs and he had a spring in his step.
Hmm. Usually, usually when an old person draws their pension, they might have a spring in their step.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's a nice one. A nice one for like a happy spring morning when the sun is out for the first time in 6 months and there are no clouds and it feels somewhat warm. Now that we have switched into BST, the clocks have gone forward, so it is lighter for longer. I think everybody has a bit more of a spring in their step.
Apart from first thing in the morning, because you've got one less hour in bed.
Yeah, yeah, that was a difficult morning, wasn't it, to get out of bed. I do much prefer when the clocks go back in autumn.
Mm. And I guess because one of the big features of Easter are eggs, we might as well teach a few egg-related idioms. So, probably my favorite idiom to do with eggs is to feel like you're walking on eggshells. So, this is really common, super common idiom, and it's all to do with feeling like you're going to upset or cause offense to someone. Usually because that person might be in a very bad mood or they're being easily offended by someone. Because of the situation, I wouldn't say someone is always like walking on eggshells, but it's usually to do with a conflict. Perhaps someone might have been really upset. You don't really feel comfortable going up to them because they might like snap at you. So you might say, "Oh, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with her at the moment."
Yeah, or if you're going to a dinner party and it's a couple that are hosting it and they have invited a load of people around to their house, but maybe, I don't know, it's a stressful dinner party, so the couple have fallen out. Maybe there's a bit of tension when everybody arrives, so you might be walking on eggshells for the first hour or two until the mood relaxes a little bit. Or I'm thinking of Love Island as well. I guess a trashy reality TV show that I think it peaked probably like 7 years ago. I want to say it hit its peak popularity. And this expression and one of the next ones as well were very, very common on that show. So again, with couples that fall out and have conflict, people will be walking on eggshells.
Hmm. And one of my other favorite expressions is when you encourage someone to do something a bit risky, a bit dangerous. Usually, it could be also criminal as well, depending on your crowd of people, to egg someone on. So, in a future podcast, we're going to be talking about our time at university. But one example I can use is when you go on a night out here in the UK, usually as a group of lads, you all try and egg each other on to try and pull. So, to pull someone is to try and successfully flirt with someone with the intention of bringing them back to your house for obvious reasons. So when I was out, my housemates, my male housemates, would try and egg me on to try and chat up, to try and flirt with random women at the bar, I should say. Sometimes I didn't like it, and I would go up to someone and think, nah, I'm too nervous. So I'm fleeing. I'm chickening out of that situation. I get scared, I get nervous, and decide not to do something.
Yeah, that's a very specific example. I like it. Yeah, so it's yeah, to encourage or a synonym is to hype someone up, I guess. Um, or I guess it's not exactly a direct synonym. To hype someone up is to I guess to make them feel like they have the energy normally in order to do something, but to egg someone on is to make them have that energy, but whilst encouraging them to do something specific. So yeah, it might be going to chat up a girl at the bar, or it might normally it is to do stupid things, isn't it? It's normally
Yeah.
to do something that's a bit reckless and irresponsible. So it might be, I don't know, maybe there's kids playing football and one of them kicks a football over into the neighbor's garden and somebody has to go round to the neighbor and knock on the door and ask if they can have the football back. The kids will egg someone on to go and do
I can tell you come from a very rural background, Finn.
it.
Going round to knock on the neighbour's door, not just hopping over the fence and take it and retrieving the ball.
Yeah, I think it depends which friends you're with, doesn't it? And who the neighbor is as well.
Yeah, as we said, it's usually like risky behavior. So like, I'll be honest with you, British men and lads on a night out, they're just stupid most of the time. So they would do stupid things like steal a shopping trolley and get into a shopping trolley and push someone down a flight of stairs in a shopping trolley. That kind of thing, but I'm kind of giving you a flavor to my university life, which will obviously be happening in a few more podcast time.
Yeah, I think in certain countries, Brits have we've gained a very bad reputation. There is a very
Mm,
bad stereotype associated with all Brits, and that is due to behavior when under the influence of alcohol, which is obviously a very bad thing, and it's obviously not representative of all of us. It's just a
no.
reflection of those certain types of people that maybe go on holidays to party destinations and do stupid things, but university culture as well is kind of similar in that sense. So, yeah, I'm
Mm,
sure we will cover that in a future episode.
And just one more to finish off, tied in with my previous example. You might go up to a girl very confident because your friends have egged you on. They've hyped you up, or perhaps I use the expression to big someone up. Like usually they'll do things like, "Have you met my friend so and so?" Like, duh, 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 duh. And then the girl turns around and says, "No, not interested. Go away." So I come back to my friends feeling really embarrassed. So I feel like I've got egg on my face.
Yeah, that is very funny. That's a very awkward and very, I guess, depressing example, isn't it? It's like, oh no, feel so sorry for him. It's like when you're supporting the underdog, or you're rooting, so you're supporting someone to go and do something, or to be bold, to be brave, and then something backfires, something goes wrong. It's like, oh, you poor thing.
So I think that is probably a really nice point to end today's podcast on a high. So from my point of view, I'm so happy to be back. I feel refreshed. I'm ready to explore some really interesting topics, guys. So as with all our podcasts, like, share, subscribe. We can be found on Instagram. I'm sure Finn's gonna drop it down below, like our handles, so you can check us out. And from my point of view, I would love to hear how you celebrate Easter in your country.
Yeah, let us know in the comments to describe your Easter. I know other countries call it different things, and we were speaking before about differences in eggs in different countries, which is very interesting as well, because I think a hollow egg is just quite depressing. You always want something in there, not just air. So yeah, if you guys do something special or cool or something that we would be jealous of, we would love to hear it in the comments. So yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you later, guys.